Did anybody watch the Wendy Williams doc?
No.
Yes.
I did.
I watched the first because it was 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday. They played 2 episodes Saturday night and then 2 episodes Sunday night.
Hour each or 2 hours each?
They were an hour each.
Oh, okay, so that's not
So it's 4 hours in total.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I couldn't watch the second night.
It sounded intense to the point where I didn't want to watch it. And I've had family members that went through some dementia shit.
Yeah.
They were much older than her. Like, that's traumatic for me. I'm not watching that shit.
This shit was bad.
No, my girl
this was bad.
My girl hit me. She said, "Yo, did you see the Wendy Williams thing? Or are y'all gonna talk about the Wendy Williams thing?" I'm like, "Of course we're gonna talk about it." Excuse me. Joe is a friend of Wendy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Joe is admiring Wendy. You know, she helped him on his journey, whatever the case may be. We touched on it. My girl said, "Yo, it's a lot." My girl said, "Yo, dog, I couldn't stop crying."
I've seen all 4 parts.
She said, "Yo," she's like, "Yo, I couldn't stop crying." So I watched it, and then I spoke to Ice, and Ice was like, "Yo, it's tough."
Yeah.
Like, I could see how your girl would be crying. You know what I'm saying? So I cut it on. I watched the first episode. The first episode's name is "I'm Not a Crier." That's the name of the episode.
And it basically, like, within 3 minutes, she's crying.
Yeah, she cried the entire episode. Right? So we talked about how maybe this was an attention ploy of some sort. It's not.
No, not at all.
It's not. Like, the very first scene when they cut the camera on, they show her from waist down. I'm not lying to you, my nigga. Her leg is the size of your arm.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Her leg is the size of your arm. And then part of her ailment, spoiler alert to anybody listening, her feet.
She's got lymphedema, but she's always been very vocal
always
about
had that,
having
yeah.
it.
But I
I've never
guess
seen it.
it's different.
There's no cure for it, and it's getting
different.
progressively worse, and it's a very visual ailment, and it's jarring to see in person or to see up close. I watched all 4 parts, and it was, having sat with Wendy numerous times over the course of my career. I've been interviewed by Wendy at least 3 times. Let me tell you something. I was terrified the first time I went to sit up on Wendy's show. I was so fucking scared, like mouth dry, like sweating, because she was Wendy, and she was larger than life. But she was dope. She really was. Like, all my experiences with her were really, really great. And the last time that I saw her was in 2021, actually. So it's kind of around the time.
Yeah, it's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago, where I think they start filming her in 2022, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I read an interview with the producers and directors.
2019.
So, yeah. So what begins to happen is, because the filmmakers, A&E is the parent company of Lifetime. They spoke out to the Hollywood Reporter as a result of this, the overwhelming criticism as to, why did you people film her? Like, how could you do this? You are complicit in the exploitation of Wendy. And they basically said, this was posed as a comeback story for her. We didn't know what the reality was. And that's the thing about dementia and Alzheimer's and any kind of cognitive decline, is it's not immediate up front. You know what I mean? It starts with, like, behavior that you kind of can't pinpoint, you don't understand, you kind of make excuses for it, or, find reasons to explain it away and stuff like that. And then when it starts to become, like, consistent behavior and whatever the case, like erratic behavior, aggressive, then it becomes undeniable. But also, if you're not a professional, if you're not a medical professional, you can't necessarily diagnose it.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
I'm not rolling with none of that they say.
Me either.
Like,
no.
Because one of the other quote was, we didn't know she had dementia. We didn't know anything about this diagnosis. Had we known, we wouldn't have had a camera rolling. They didn't know anything until her son said something.
So,
and like I said, I only saw the first 2 parts.
I saw the first 2 episodes.
I saw enough in there
to know that something,
to the point where the producers was like, okay, we need to stop. We need to get out. Let's just stop this.
Yes.
Something's not right. You were clear enough to see. I don't care how we posed it as a comeback story. There's something else going on here. And so now that you're getting so much negative press, don't try to flip it and say, oh, this was just
like
this and we didn't know. Like the shorty walked in the room, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, They went in there. They were supposed to have been filming her the day that she was doing the giveaway of her or selling off her stuff. And they went in there and she was like completely knocked out, mouth wide open. They were like, "Yo, we don't know. Yo, we got to call somebody, get somebody up here. We don't know if she was even still with us at the moment." All right, my nigga. And then
y'all aired that.
Yeah, that's my thing. Y'all saw this and aired it.
Yeah.
Y'all literally, and again, when we spoke before, I told y'all, I understood some people's stance on not giving her grace.
And I want to.
That's not this.
Yeah.
Not this.
I feel like
This is exploitation.
Clear cut.
After watching this, man, it just made me more mad at everyone else, and I'll tell you why. We've watched, like I said, they started filming in 2019. We watched the dementia become aggressive, right? We watch it in real time. We watch her slowly start to deteriorate. And it was unfortunate. Yes, I feel like they was exploiting Wendy, and I feel like that the people that were out there talking about that shit and saying it's karma, it pissed me off even more. We watching this shit, that karma has nothing to do with that. We try to mix karma and life. You can't avoid being hit by a car, right? If it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You can't avoid certain things happening. Like if somebody get hit by a car that lived a positive life, was that karma? Like we try to convolute the two a lot, like mix the two. And I don't like that. So I was mad and I was hurt behind it. And on top of that, I understand because like I said, everything needs to be, it doesn't need to be filmed, but today in the society that we're living in, everything is filmed. I get it. They signed up for it. Cool. It made me have more questions about the family and how she didn't want to be around her family, but she did, and made me mad at her manager a little bit. I don't know how people feel about him, but I was a little mad at him.
A lot of people, when I've seen all four parts, and a lot of people after watching the entire thing, just, what we saw was just people out of their depth. In terms of like understanding what they're really actually dealing with. And here's the thing also. A lot of people have, for lack of a better word, their livelihood relies on her. And in that way, that in itself is a kind of parasitic relationship. And it's imbalanced. And so when you're thinking, there's no way that you're going to be thinking about, you're going to be thinking completely altruistic and it's all about her health and shut everything down, because at the end of the day, your bottom line will be affected if she no longer works.
I agree.
And what this also was, I don't know, I feel like a lot of things were happening all at the same time. The family wanted this to be an indictment on the guardianship, and wanted to kind of like highlight, a broken system in terms of conservatorship and guardianship and that sort of thing. We don't hear from the guardians. We see like a lot of black screens and text kind of explaining, this, that, and the other. But something has to happen in order for the courts to step in. That's the reality. Something has to happen. And so I think that it would have behooved the guardian, to have had some kind of participation in this for them to kind of understand, because then it was just left up to the family to just explain how much they feel that they've been that Wendy's been being taken advantage of or not looked after. Her best interests aren't being taken into account and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, it was horrifying to watch. Like one of the scenes that really where like I was crying was when Black China Angela came to see her. And it was.
I saw the clip though. That's the clip that we talked about the other day. I saw that clip.
But it was like, it was breathtaking in terms of how sad it was and how strong Angela was and how you could just read on her face, just like, it was a lot. It was a lot. I'll just say that. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it when Joe gets back, because
I wanted to piggyback on what you said about the manager. I don't know the gentleman. A lot of what he was doing was like pacifying her. You know what I'm saying? In every scene he had some fly shit on. I peeped that. Every scene
he's a jeweler.
I don't care.
Yeah, he is.
Every scene he had some fly shit on, and it was a point in the movie when they went back home to Perth Amboy. Like she went to her whole house where she grew up.
Asbury Park.
I'm sorry. And she's sitting on the steps and she was getting mad love. What you can tell was she really is addicted to the limelight and the life. That
I was about to say
that's
that
where
too.
she gets her value and her love from.
Sure.
So whatever she had going on behind closed doors, I don't think it was necessarily fulfilling. She got the love from the people, the Wendy, the how you doing, all of that.
Right.
It made you feel like you was loved and you was a part of something. So there was a point where she went back to Asbury Park, and everybody was coming up to her truck, like shaking her hand. I just want to hug you. I just want to touch you. And she sat on the steps and was like, yo, I got to get back on TV.
Wow.
Like, it didn't matter that my health is fucked up. It didn't matter that my life is fucked up. None of that stuff mattered. You know what mattered? That I got to get on TV. Any photo op, she stopped. She would be in the middle of a rant, telling somebody off, cursing them out. Somebody like, yo, can we get a picture? Like, come here. Like, I'm cursing Ice out, right? And then somebody pull up a camera. Now I'm hugging Ice. Like, that's what she was on. So that was a little crazy too, to see like, yo, regardless of how much money she had, the only thing that she really seemingly was focused on was my son and the limelight.
Yeah, fame's
Well,
a
she
drug.
thought she was a drug.
I think it was her brother or something that spoke, and he said like she told him before she got her start that that's where she was.
Her
gonna
father.
be.
Her father said that.
And
I think it was her father.
A brother.
it was a brother.
Oh, pardon.
And then there was a scene in a restaurant where they walked in and she didn't like the seat because the seat was her back was facing people, and she's like, no, I need to sit here so I can be seen. Like, it just spoke to the level of addiction to the fame.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, in closing, you know, I think that I think that Wendy had a team around her that was in over their heads. I don't think, like Mel said, I don't think they
They're
were
not psychiatrists or psychologists.
but they were. But even how he was speaking to her, and it's just certain things.
He was
rubbed me the wrong
placating
way.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He was definitely placating her.
To an
and-
extent, though. To an extent.
To an extent.
Because there was times where he, like, in that same restaurant
bottle,
scene,
yeah.
Yeah.
he walked up and talked to
That
the
was
waiter,
dope.
yo,
Saying,
listen.
do not give her
no
alcohol.
Make
Yeah.
her something that
That
could
was
look
dope.
like that, but no alcohol at all.
Yeah.
You walk in the house, you see she done drank half a bottle, you took all right, well, okay, cool. We're not gonna throw it out. I'm just gonna go put it to keep it cold. You know, I'm telling you what you need to hear, but I'm really doing something that
Well, that's
For
a
your
form,
best-
that's a
in
form
your
of
best
placating. Yeah.
Do you? I'm gonna ask you a question, Mel, and I'm gonna ask the room. Do you feel like an approach like that when you're dealing with an alcoholic or an addict? Do you feel like an aggressive approach is necessary?
Well, here's the thing
Yeah,
is like it's all these things are happening at the same time. So, you know, alcohol itself is a neurotoxin. It's literally a brain toxin. It's poison for your brain. So somebody who's having, you know, who's showing signs of cognitive decline or what we now know is dementia and aphasia, that is literally the worst thing that she could be doing. It's literally eating her brain. You know what I mean? And like if there's any healthy parts, that's not helping, you know? The problem is that Wendy also expressed how much she likes to drink. It's not even just about alcoholism where it's an addiction to drinking. She actually likes to drink. She likes the taste. She has preferences. And this is also a form of, you know, self-medicating and self-soothing that has been a part of her life for an extremely long time. So this is such an uphill battle for people who are so out of their depth to deal with that's what we were watching. We were watching an 18-car derailment, like train wreck right in front of us. That was what I found to be so jarring and so shocking about the whole thing is that this is also the progression over the course of like a year and a half, almost 2 years. Because if you remember in the first episode, she's saying, yeah, I'm being forced to go see these doctors. You know, the only doctor I need is a thyroid doctor, but now they're making me see a neurologist and a psychiatrist, which are brain doctors. And this is way before the diagnosis comes out. And so when you see that this is what she's being forced to deal with, it's because somebody stepped in, a court stepped in and assessed you are not, you know, you don't have all your faculties and you need to be assessed by a medical team.
Correct. And like when she left and was down there with her son and them, the courts asked, you know, do you want him here? No, I need to be away from him. So they listened to that as, okay, these are the people that are possibly not doing right by you if you're trying to get away from them, when really the son didn't want the son around because the son wouldn't allow alcohol around.
Yeah.
Just looking at the court's view from the outside looking in, okay,
Objectively.
this person is saying I need to be away from my family. we can't trust the family with something. We do need to put somebody in here to protect her.
Yeah, but then when it comes to dementia and Alzheimer's, your answers change day to day, hour to hour. You know what I mean? You might not even remember that you even said that.
I'm gonna retract my statement to the manager. That's a hard task that they are put with, because
I agree with that.
it's a couple things. One, they not professionals, but professionals don't love the person. Professionals are only speaking from a totally objective stance. These are people that love this lady. So, you can't just be totally 100% aggressive. This is somebody that you love and somebody that you watched. You know what I mean? That might have been good to you 10 years ago. You might have been out on your ass, like when you hear the DJ dude talking like, yo, dog, I became her DJ. It was at a point in time, he said, where I was the only person that was coming to her house to check on her. So, I'm gonna shoot them some bell in saying that it gotta be a give and take. I gotta pacify you a little bit, but then I gotta be rough over here a little bit. You get what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with that. It's a really touchy thing to handle. And I don't think professionals, I think it needs to be a joint effort.
It does.
I don't think it could just be professionals, because again, professionals don't have an emotional attachment to you. You get what I'm saying? They don't have an emotional attachment to you. They just doing their job. And so I think it needs to be a combination of the two. It was really hard to watch. I didn't even get all 4 episodes. The 2 episodes for me were really, really hard to watch. And I think that Lifetime needs to be ashamed for putting that out.
I ain't like that cop out.
I ain't going to hold you.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And I only got the 2 episodes. So.
New Joe Budden.